Clear to partly cloudy and a low of 72 degrees. And tomorrow for your Friday, intervals of clouds and sunshine, a straight shower thunderstorm possible, and a high of 92. I'm Adam Zellick for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Frickers heats up summer with boneless brew and barbecue, boneless frickin' chicken wings, Brew City fries, and barbecue rib tips for only $12.99. Dine in only. Frickers, where kids 10 and under eat free every day. Boneless brew and barbecue. Say it with me.
Boneless brew and barbecue.
Remember that Frickers always has barbecue baby back ribs. Frickers serves up whole and half slabs every day. Boneless brew and barbecue at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
I can picture it already. The big 9 a.m. kickoff on Fox. Ohio State and USC. What in the hell is happening? What is happening? I did not think it could get any crazier than Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. In fact, I thought that Texas and Oklahoma, when you think of Big 12 football, you think of Texas and Oklahoma, like losing Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12. That was brutal. But when you're the Pac-12, UCLA, all right, you give them a nice little slap on the behind and say it's nice doing business with you, but they lost USC. That's the equivalent of the Big 12 losing Texas and Oklahoma. What a brutal blow for the Pac-12 today, and obviously a good get for the Big Ten, but it sounds weird. As I joked earlier on Twitter, John Wilner is the individual who tweeted this out and broke it earlier this afternoon, that according to a source, USC and UCLA are planning to leave for the Big Ten as early as 2024. The move has not been finalized at the highest levels of power. So I had tweeted out that if this tweet had come out on April 1st, I would be criticizing this guy for a very unfunny April Fool's joke. But it's June 30th. This isn't a joke. It's not April Fool's. And we should have expected something like this. And I think that maybe part of us did, but I don't think what we expected was USC. That's the one that really just has me kind of scratching my head. But I can't wait. The big 9 a.m. kickoff. Ohio State, USC. I can't wait for December when Ohio State, USC fighting for a Big Ten championship. Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day. I mean, the storylines are writing themselves. Can they hurry up and expedite it to this season? My goodness, 2024, Kev, I guess, is the soonest that this could potentially get done.
Madness. It's madness. And, you can date all the way back to when Colorado left the Big 12 to the Pac-12. Or we can go back to when Nebraska left the Big 12 to come to the Big 10. These steps have always been there. It's been slow, but now it's not just middle of the road teams. It's these storied programs that have a lot of relevance behind them. I mean, you talk about UCLA. I mean, football wise, they haven't been relevant in quite a while, but UCLA still is second all time with most national championships in all college sports. So, from obviously the wooden days with all the basketball championships, from track and field to tennis, like they have a ton. I think they have like 140 of them. Total. So they bring a lot to the table, and obviously the LA market. I know before, like this phase of college football wasn't about like market size and everything like that, but the Big Ten grabbing Maryland and to get into that market, and now the Big Ten is going to be in the LA market. I mean, think about it like this: they're going to have the LA market, the number 2 TV market in the world. You know what I'm saying? Number 2 in the United States. I'm sorry. Then they're going to have the Maryland and New York area and everything like that. And then they got the Midwest on lock, obviously, because we're from the Midwest, so to Chicago. So they're going to be spattered everywhere. The Big Ten footprint is going to be everywhere. So that new TV contract is going to be enormous.
Yeah. And obviously this makes a ton of sense. Not a ton of sense. Nothing about this makes a ton of sense. But I mean, when you
it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. But, and obviously that's with the powers that be. When they, of course, sign off on this, they're seeing nothing but dollars.
Yep.
But then the logistics of it. I mean, just imagine. Again, USC, and imagine USC having to play at Iowa. And USC having to play at Rutgers. I mean, at Maryland, at Indiana. I mean, Indiana doesn't deserve USC or Ohio State coming to play there. But that we're going to see some very crazy scenarios. And we've said the same thing about the USC with it. I mean, about the SEC. I mean, with Texas, just a random week 7 Alabama at Texas matchup and SEC play. And now we're going to get a random USC versus, Ohio State, and I expected the Big Ten to make some kind of counter move because you didn't want to end up like Bowlesby in the Big 12 where all of a sudden you just wake up one day and your 2 prize winners are gone. But I think I was more expecting the likes of maybe adding a Clemson or adding a Notre Dame. But that Notre Dame's another interesting factor in this too, because if they see this happening, I mean, does this motivate them to want to get into conference, or are they fine all by themselves? Nothing has motivated them to join a conference. They've never been left out of a college football playoff. They've, as far as being penalized for not playing in a conference, not having a conference championship has never cost them a playoff appearance. They go undefeated, they get in.
Right.
They lost to Cincinnati this year. They just barely missed the college football playoff, as crazy as that sounds. So I don't know if it pushes them to do anything, but what this does for the Big Ten, although logistically it doesn't make any sense. Financially, it does. The networks love it. USC, for as money hungry as the West Coast is, especially over in California, this makes all the sense in the world for them, I guess. But geographically, throw out a map because all these schools care about is the dollar.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not going to complain. Waking up on Saturdays. Last week was Ohio State, Penn State, big matchup. Oh, we got USC next week, Ohio State, UCLA. This is fun. If I'm just a fan,
right,
this is fun. But at the same time, for the diehard fans, the more this stuff happens, the more college football as we knew it.
Yeah.
It might be done already. This is not going to be anything normal moving forward. This is going to have drastic implications. I think this is a bigger deal to college football than Texas, Oklahoma to the SEC, because I think everyone just thought, well, it was a big time power move by the SEC. The Big 12, they absorbed, a couple schools from the American Conference. They tried to stop the bleeding, and they did. And then we just thought everyone was going to go on with their merry old way. We thought that the one counter that the ACC made was to scrap divisions and go to a different scheduling model that would basically guarantee to have their top 2 teams in the ACC title game every year, which helps, especially if it comes down to the final weekend, conference championship weekend, as far as who's going to get those last couple spots in the playoff. But no, that was not the ACC countered with that, and the Big Ten just slapped everyone upside the head. The Big 12, or the Pac-12, I'm sorry, major loss for them. Pac-12, Big 12, which conference was I guess hit the hardest?
Pac-12 by far. You lose the number 2 media market in the United States.
They already weren't generating money anyways.
Yeah, so you lose, not just one team in LA, you lose them both. So nobody's going to be tuning in to watch the others that play in the Pac-12. They're all going to be tuning in to UCLA and USC for whomever they're playing and everything like that. So that's a major blow. Obviously, the storied program that is Oklahoma and Texas and everything like that going to the SEC, yeah, that's a major blow, no doubt about it. But they're able to grab some other teams to make it work. Who out there on the left coast can they grab that has any type of relevance? At least Houston. Like, all right, man, that's a big media market. That's a huge media market. Oh, shoot. Look at UC. Like, they've been pretty good the last 4 years. Okay, we can supplement this. No, they're not those programs, Texas or Oklahoma. But who out there on the left coast is left? BYU, I think that's it. BYU.
Utah has the only program right now that seems to be ascending in any kind of
and they're already in the conference. They're already in there. So who can you grab?
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the Big 12.
To quote unquote replace them. You're not going to replace them, but you have to put a team in there. You're going to grab San Jose State. Like, that's not going to do anything. That's not going to help you out any. So I think the Pac-12 is in a world of hurt right now. They're definitely scrambling to figure out what they're going to do, because you got to think of from this perspective, the Big Ten and Pac-12, they're supposed to be partners. Remember the little the alliance that came out? What alliance? Ain't no alliance. We said that on this show. It's like that's a farce. That's just a piece of paper that's floating around. We're not gonna do
closer. Type of situation.
And then what did the Big Ten do? They went and took their biggest 2 properties. Like, there ain't no alliance. There ain't no alliance, bro. Like, it is one for self and self for all, man. Everybody's operating out of self. USC operating out for self. Big Ten is operating for self to make sure that they're not left on the outside looking in, and somebody's about to be on the left side looking in, because it's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be it's going to be like 3 super conferences. It's just a matter of who's going to be left standing.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's most interesting about this is the fact that, the Big 12, which I thought that conference was about ready to fold after losing Texas and Oklahoma. But the one benefit that they have, or that they had and still have, that the Pac-12 does not, is they're more centrally located. A lot of their teams are more centrally located, which means they can go to the east and pull a Cincinnati, and they can go more, southeast if they want to go further south. That's why they brought in Houston and UCF, and they were able, geographically speaking, the Big 12 was able to stop the bleeding a lot faster because there was a lot of geographical teams that in programs that made sense. To your point, there's nothing that makes sense right now if you are the Pac-12 right now, because everything in Texas has kind of been absorbed a little bit, even the lower hanging fruit like Houston. Florida, UCF just got picked up and absorbed. This becomes very weird, strange territory for them. I don't know how they counter this. I don't know how you do counter this unless, like the Big Ten just said, forget the maps, take the maps out. If I'm the Big 12, Clemson, what do you do? Florida State, what do you do at this point? And if I'm the ACC, you don't want to be that next conference.
You're calling them before they call you. And if I'm a team or a school like Colorado, I'm calling the Big 12 right now. Hey, man, remember we used to play in the conference? We want to come back. Like you have to be proactive. Every team that's in the Pac-12 has to be proactive to try to get their way up out of there, because you don't want to be just sitting there waiting for your commissioner to tell you what's going to happen and everything like that. Or, oh, man, we're disbanded. Go find somewhere else to play all your sports and everything like that. You have to be proactive as a school to try to find somewhere to land. And as a conference like the ACC, what they did yesterday, I think is awesome and everything like that. It's kind of almost like a basketball schedule, basically, where you play everybody and everything like that. That's awesome for fans, but you know what? That's not going to move the needle like getting a Texas or Oklahoma or a USC or a UCLA. What moves the needle is getting programs. So you need to dial up somebody. You may need to dial up more teams that are from the American or Conference USA, just to have more teams in your barrel than there is, because nobody's going to leave the SEC. That check is too big. Nobody's going to leave the Big Ten. That check is too big. Are you calling the teams out in the Pac-12 like, hey, you want to come play football with us? You want to come play sports with us? Everybody else is flying all the way out here to play games at 9 a.m. already. You might as well come do it too before your conference gets disbanded.
You don't think mid-tier teams in these power conferences now aren't maybe looking to, like, for instance, Cincinnati is benefiting greatly from the fact that the timing could not have been better for them, because now they're not going to the Big 12 that has Texas and Oklahoma. And now they're going to the Big 12, and it's just anyone's ball game over there right now. Could you see mid-tier programs that might see an opportunity of, the Pac-12 is prime for, it's an opportunity for us to go win that conference. We have a better chance at winning that than trying to climb over Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, UCLA. And I think I'm giving UCLA a little bit too much love, to be honest with you, but you see my point. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. Is this all? Are these going to shrink into 2 big mega conferences?
I think it's going to be 3. I think it's going to be 3.
And the third one, that's where you could stop the hemorrhaging a little bit. I know you said teams aren't going to leave the Big Ten or the SEC, but that's when you start looking at those mid-tier teams, start seeing if a Michigan State or a Penn State wants to come over here and dominate this division or this conference for the taking. Again, throw the maps out. I know it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think teams are going to be leaving the conference that they're in, especially like a Big Ten,
because the money's all going to be absorbed by all 3. So
yeah,
one conference might make more.
Yeah, but Big Ten is going to make the most. Big Ten is going to make the most money because of where their cable boxes are. It's Los Angeles, it's Chicago, it's Maryland / New York. Like, you got it. Like, they're going to have to come up all the money, whoever, they're coming up off the money, and that's going to get distributed to the teams. Look at it like this. A school like Vanderbilt, who is good literally at one sport, at baseball. They're good at one sport, baseball. They ain't never leaving the SEC. That check is too big. Why will we leave? We ain't got to do nothing but play our baseball game, go to the College World Series, win one here or there, and that's it. And everybody's happy because everybody's getting paid. Their stadium is smaller than Centerville's football stadium, and they're a college, and they bring Alabama. They bring big-time programs to town. They're getting that check. They're not leaving. They're not going to leave. We want to compete. We want to win. No, we want to get paid. So they're not leaving. So teams like Colorado, Arizona State, Oregon State, they on the phone right now. Phil Knight from Nike and Oregon alum, he's on the phone right now, dialing up. Hey, you got any room for us? Yeah, we'll bring our little brother Oregon State with us. Washington State, Washington.
UCLA was more of a market grab than, because I'm pretty sure if the Big Ten, I mean, you look at what the SEC did. They took Oklahoma and Texas. They took the two top programs out of the Big 12. Oh, the Big Ten did not take the top two programs out of the Pac-12, but they took the two teams from the biggest market. I mean, that's how you counter what SEC did with Texas. I mean, that's fine. You want to own Texas? That's okay. We're going to take California. And That's exactly what they did, because you would have to think, man, USC, Oregon makes a lot more sense from a talented program perspective. Yes. But from a market perspective, I mean, the Big Ten just absorbed all of that. I think that's interesting, but we're going to step away for a few moments. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. I called Bobby Carpenter earlier this afternoon, right when this news hit. He was going to come on with us, but money was dangled down, and he is now on Sirius XM radio for the afternoon. So he said he'd pop on with us either tomorrow or early next week as more of this kind of digests a little bit more. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He's going to get me a time to pop on with us to talk about what this means for the big picture, the entire landscape of college athletics, not just football. What that means for all of it. We'll talk with Jason Fitz coming up around the corner as well. But we're live on Facebook. Your take's always welcome. You can also give us a call at 518-1410. Greg Schoonover on Facebook, Kev, says, unreal guys, go Bucks. At the end of the day, it's all about go Bucks. This is good for us as fans. For every Ohio State, Maryland matchup, now you're going to get the Michigans and the USCs, and this is going to be better matchups. Nick says, here comes the super conferences. I think they've been coming for a while now. This basically just kind of guarantees it. Adam Selzner on Facebook says, you guys have a positive and negative take on this potential move for USC, UCLA, or he's asking if we do. The positive is, yes, this is great for the Big Ten from a market perspective. You're absorbing a huge market out of California, of course. You're absorbing one of the biggest brands in college football, of course, in USC. They have Lincoln Riley. They have, all that talent that just kind of basically started driving in there once Lincoln Riley got there. This is big for the Big Ten. The downside is just, I think it's a downside for all of college football. I'm not a fan of this. I don't like this. I'm the traditional college football fan that liked the Pac-12. I liked elite teams from each conference, and instead of those conferences getting elite teams, it's just been subpar play for so long now that I think it makes it an even more interesting move at the end of the day. Dennis on Facebook says it's good for the Big Ten if they want to try and compete with the SEC. My thing is, as long as you have Ohio State, I don't think you needed those other teams to compete with the SEC. But financially you did, and now financially the Big Ten as a whole in pretty good shape. Here's an interesting take, Kev. Notre Dame, USC. That game will more than likely be done when USC joins the Big Ten.
Nope.
Why do you say that? That game don't mean nothing to USC now.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Why does it? That doesn't mean squat to them. Why would it in the Big Ten now?
A lot of money involved, a lot of tradition involved. I was looking at a potential schedule they could have. They could have Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, UCLA, and Notre Dame on the schedule. Like that's the NFL.
Sounds pretty stupid to me. That sounds pretty stupid to me.
All right, Rutgers. There you go. You happy?
No. The
Maryland.
matchup. I'm with you. I love the matchup, but from a business, again, you've been barely making it out of the Pac-12 over the last how many years now. Now you got to play real teams on a week in, week out basis. Why make your job any harder in the non-con by adding Notre Dame? I'm with you 100%. But if I'm USC too, I'm like, I'm not bailing Notre Dame. Quit bailing Notre Dame out. Stop giving them matchups. Marcus Freeman, go make friends elsewhere. All right, good stuff. But no, I'm with you. I know the money side of it too, but also now you got a tough schedule every year. Make it easier on yourself. But who knows how the schedule is going to pan out, because you can't play every team in the Big Ten every year. 518-1410. It's the number to call in. We'll be back in just a moment.
Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Now's your chance for a refresh with savings up to $500 off select computers, like the XPS and select Alienware systems, taking performance to the next level with Intel Core processors. Plus, shop special deals on top accessories. Great financing available with a Dell Preferred account and free shipping. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? Quality oil like Valvoline Full Synthetic can help you get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $36.99. Got an older vehicle? Try Valvoline Full Synthetic high mileage options. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you are push mowing your yard using an inefficient lawn tractor, or your current zero-turn spends more time in the shop than mowing your grass, it's time you look at the Hustler Zero-Turn Lawnmower. Residential mowers from Hustler are built like tanks and drive like sports cars. All Hustler mowers have fabricated welded steel decks. Don't settle on cheap units with flimsy stamped decks from big box stores. See Small Engine Service Pros and we'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget. 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Save big on everything for your next project at Menards with 11% off. Everything in the store. Get unbeatable quality and satisfaction guarantee with Cabot Premium Exterior Wood Stains and Finishes. Bring out the natural beauty for all of your wood projects while protecting them against weathering. Right now, all Cabot Premium Wood Care products are 11% off. Good through July 4th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Summer is in full swing and the deals are heating up at Lowe's. Find 4th of July savings to keep your yard looking healthy the whole season. Protect your soil from the heat with a bag of Scott's Naturescapes mulch, now 3 for $10. And celebrate the 4th with our select 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals, 2 for $10. Find more savings this 4th of July at Lowe's. Home to any budget, home to any possibility. Valid 6/23 through 7/6 while supplies last. Annuals offer in store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
At Family Dollar, we know you want more for your summer. Find everything from grilling supplies and beach toys to deals on your favorite soft drinks. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
The Psychedelic Furs are back. July 6th, Rose Music Center at the Heights with the Made of Rain Tour 2022. Plus, special guest, the legendary X. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and RoseMusicCenter.com. The Psychedelic Furs and X live.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more.
I feel bad for all the sports radio hosts out there who use their vacation time, in the dead periods of sports talk, right?
Losers.
Unreal. With talking to Bobby earlier, that was that's what I was joking with him about it. I was like, this is gold. This is like waking up as a sports radio talk show host. This is like coming down the stairs on Christmas morning and just seeing the tree just full of presents. This is Christmas and the last day of June heading into July, right? Like, unreal. It just doesn't. That's why I joked earlier when I saw the report. I'm like, if today was April 1st, I would think that headline is just a very cheesy April Fool's joke. It didn't even make sense. It doesn't, it's so absurd, because why would USC join the Big Ten? Man, I don't know. What's more crazy? Which one is more absurd to you? USC, UCLA to the Big Ten, or Texas, Oklahoma to the SEC?
I'm going to say UCLA and USC to the Big Ten, because they're in California. We're here in the Midwest. Like, think about that. Like, we concentrate on football, and then we think, oh, yeah, basketball. But guess what? There's a ton of non-revenue generating sports that play, too, like baseball and track and field and all that type of stuff, too. So, like, what are they going to do? They're literally going to fly out here for one game and then fly back out to the West Coast. Like, that's a ton of mileage and everything like that. So that, to me, is just farther out of my thought process. Plus, it just came out of nowhere. Like, normally we start hearing rumblings and like, hey, man, this could possibly be going on. This isn't rumblings. This is like, bang, 2024, get ready. That's it. Like, the Big 12, the Big 12, them leaving that was like a rumbling for a second and went away, and then it came back, and it was still like kind of gearing up towards the football season when it happened. It's still June, even though tomorrow's July, but we're a ways away from college football. So our mind isn't even thinking about college football. We're only thinking about, oh man, what 5-star wide receiver did Ohio State get? Oh man, we can't wait to beat Michigan for beating us last year. Oh man, CJ Stroud's going to win the Heisman. Oh man, CJ Stroud got a NIL deal. He's driving a Bentley. Oh man, CJ Stroud's going to win the Heisman. This came from left field, man. This is a left field move right here, man. I didn't see this coming at all.
I think that had Texas, Oklahoma not already bolted to the SEC, that this would have been even more of a shock, because I think status quo. We as college sports fans, college football in general, we've been used to the same conference alignment for quite some time. Mm-hmm. You brought up a good point earlier. We've seen some different conference realignment. Colorado, of course, making moves in the past, and then Maryland and obviously Rutgers in the Big Ten, but those don't send shockwaves throughout the college athletics landscape. But Texas, Oklahoma, like I said, these are the heavy hitters. Mm-hmm. Texas, Oklahoma was the Big 12. USC is the Pac-12. And now the Pac-12 without USC and the Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma, that would be the equivalent to us all of a sudden checking our phones one day and Ohio State is bolting for the ACC. Like that would be the equivalent of that. But I think that Commissioner Warren, Kevin Warren, man, when he got, good for him. because that dude was a punching bag for Buckeye, or for really Buckeye, yes, but for Big Ten football fans, that guy just got destroyed. Imagine he would have been the guy that would have been responsible for pulling the plug on college football first over anyone else when it came to Power 5 football during the COVID outbreak, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he would have been the one that was not making sure that all the laces were tied up within the Big Ten and Ohio State got plucked, that dude would have been the worst commissioner in the history of all sports, pro, college, or what have you. I think he redeemed himself here. Good for Kevin Warren, good for the Big Ten. Again, logistically, doesn't make any sense, but financially, that's all that matters. And that's all that's going to matter. Again, imagine 10 years from now when USC and Ohio State, that's just a typical Big Ten matchup.
Mm-hmm.
It seems strange right now. What was once one of the most coveted Rose Bowl matchups you could get will now just be a typical week 7, week 8 matchup.
Yeah.
It's unreal. What was once one of the most coveted Rose Bowl matchups is now going to be what we expect December 3rd, 4th, and 5th every year. The first weekend in December with the Big Ten championship. Indianapolis, congratulations. You get Ohio State, USC more times than not. But what a strange turn of events today. Very crazy. We're live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show. Like, follow along. You can watch us. We'll bring your comments into the show and interact with you that way. Or you can give us a call like this gentleman right here. Kev, who we got?
Easy Ed.
Easy Ed. Is that his name, Easy Ed? Easy Ed. How are you, my friend? Welcome.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm a little, the shock has kind of gone away a little bit.
I just want to say I do not want USC and UCLA in the Big Ten. They need to go to the Big Ten more than the Big Ten needs them, because the Pac-12 is dying basically. So I'm not letting them in the Big Ten if I'm the Big Ten commissioner.
USC. Even with the way they're trending right now, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still USC. I know that they have definitely underachieved, obviously, since the Reggie Bush, Pete Carroll, run, of course, and they've had a couple, upper higher end seasons. But I love the addition to USC. It's not the match. It's not the addition I was expecting, not even by a long shot. But here they are. I don't mind it. The UCLA, good for UCLA, because they're riding the coattails of USC heading into the Big Ten. I don't think it hurts anything. I think that they're more competitive than the bottom half of the Big Ten teams, and it just makes the conference deeper.
It just doesn't make any sense to me because, I mean, what's the Rose Bowl going to say about this anyway?
I think at the end of the day, I have no problem with the Big Ten saying, who cares? I know what you're saying.
It's been over. It's been over for quite a while, and now it's officially over. Look, man, we got to realize this, man. Like, the bowl championships and the bowl games like that ilk ended with the BCS. It really ended then because they weren't the traditional settings. They weren't the traditional teams. I mean, I was at the Rose Bowl with Texas and USC. Texas never played in the Rose Bowl, but they played in for the national championship. It was awesome. It was great and everything like that. But, all these traditions are basically going to be out the window. So to go to your first point about in the first hour, Justin, about USC and Notre Dame, that may be off the table too. You know what I'm saying? I could be wanting it and you could be wanting it and every USC fan and Notre Dame fan could want it till they're blue in the face. But we always got to realize, man, these traditions that we grew up with that date back to our fathers and our grandfathers and everything like that, that taught us the game of college football and everything like that, it's about to be a bunch of new traditions because the game has changed and changed quickly.
I just don't like the fact that, a school like Pitt had a chance to win a national championship. Now they're just going in and raiding their players. I don't like the way college football is going at all. So I guess I'll end it with that. But I'll be watching ED football this year. The hell with big-time college football because it's crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't get it.
Hey, so let me get this straight. Let's just say it's one of the last weekends in September, early October, Ohio State, USC, Big Ten matchup. That doesn't get your blood flowing. You don't get excited about that at all, Ed?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, how is the travel? Let's say you want to play a night game. ABC wants to do a night game, Ohio State at USC. I'm not staying up till 11 o'clock to watch the West Coast game.
Yeah, you will.
No, they don't get ratings after 11 o'clock anyway. That ain't going to work. It's not going to work.
Well,
Listen.
they do 8 o'clock kickoffs out there on the West Coast all the time. For us, I
Well,
mean,
are you gonna? I'm not gonna stay up, Pat, till 1 o'clock in the morning and watch Ohio State USC.
Well, then you're going to miss out on some really good games, Ed, but there's going to be a lot of people that will. I hear you, but keep in mind, Fox
I bet it's
too.
not gonna happen. I'm just saying it's not gonna happen. We'll see.
Okay, Ed, you want me to believe that no one's going to watch Ohio State USC? That's what I can't. That's why.
Not at midnight. No way. I'm not. People don't watch West Coast football.
People watch it now.
West Coast football is dying. The ratings are terrible.
Well, that's because you're playing.
Because you don't have an Ohio State playing in there.
Now you play Arizona State. Now you got Ohio State. I think that a lot of people will watch that.
We'll see what shakes out.
All right, Ed, take care, man.
All right.
Well, that was the first call of the evening, and I was not expecting the first call of the evening to say USC to the Big Ten is horrible. No one's going to watch that. What? I understand what he's saying. He's talking about the perception, that the East Coast bias, right? No one's going to watch. Well, now there's a reason to watch the West Coast. This is good. I don't know. Very strange take on that. To each their own, though. But I can't get on board, Kev, with saying that no one's going to watch Ohio State. And he goes, I'm going to stay up to watch that. I'm like, well, then you and Shaw can catch up on the highlights the next day then.
Man, look, we watch Ohio State and Akron for 8 o'clock kickoffs that don't end until 11:30. We watch it from kickoff to end. Matter of fact, you were at that game last year. Like, we're going to watch. It's Ohio State. That's what we do. And you talking about Ohio State and USC? Come on, man. If that game kicked off at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're waking up to watch it. People wake up at 4 a.m. to watch Olympic track and field and basketball. You tell me they're not going to stay up a couple more hours to watch Ohio State and USC? Come on, man. And they're still going to program around the East Coast because they do it now.
Yeah, this is why I said earlier. I mean, look, keep in mind the Big Ten contract with Fox, the big noon kickoff. That's why I joked earlier. USC fans, they're not going to be big fans of it, but the big 9 a.m. kickoff on the West Coast is what they're going to have to get used to, at least, and I could see, when the game's at USC, it's under the lights at night, or at least kicking off while it's still daylight out there on the freaking West Coast, of course, 4 o'clock, whatever. But I can't believe I love the matchup scenarios that are going to take place with this. There's a lot of things to complain. Like if your argument is I'm not a fan of this because I'm not a fan of these big time conferences crumbling, I support you on that. But saying that nobody is going to watch Ohio State USC because they're on the West Coast, then that means you're not that big a Buckeye fan anyways. And I have no problem with him saying he's going to support Rick Chamberlain and the Dayton Flyers football team, by the way, as you should. So there you go. But one has nothing to do with the other. But yes, support UD football, absolutely. But at the same time, don't act like USC to the Big Ten is why you're going to stop watching college football. What? Doesn't make any sense. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Live on Facebook, Kev. Brian Staley says, would a merge to ACC or Big Ten make more sense regarding Notre Dame? On paper, the ACC for basketball, but for football, Notre Dame fans outnumber the Northwestern Illinois fans in Chicago. He goes on to say, plus Ohio State and Notre Dame have the most fans in the Midwest. So if all the ACC, keep in mind, they have to make a big move.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next conference to look out for. The two powers that be. The SEC made a move. The Big Ten made a move. Now, the Big 12, they came up reeling a little bit, but they were able to patch the holes and absorb a nice couple up-and-coming programs that have developed really well, obviously, in the American Conference with Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. How is the Pac-12 going to do it? I don't know. But the ACC, do you want to be the next conference that wakes up and all of a sudden your cupboard's been raided?
You better be willing and dealing right now because you better believe the schools are.
The big move for them would be Notre Dame. I think you can make other moves too, but Kev, Notre Dame, if I'm the ACC, Notre Dame, Utah.
Yeah. Obviously Notre Dame is the jewel of everybody's eye. That money just going to be printing itself, but that's the one.
If there's money for the ACC to be made, this is a wild card too, but if I'm the ACC, I'm calling Florida. I know you say they're going to leave the SEC, and I get that. Maybe they won't. The SEC, but if they could go to the ACC and be the top team right off the bat, the top football program in the ACC right off the bat, they're going to make money hand over foot as far as that's concerned. But all right, we'll step away. 518-1410. We'll be back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com. You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
If you're living with chronic joint pain in your knees, hips, lower back, and shoulders, I've got exciting news for you.
Emmett Smith, all-time rushing leader and Hall of Famer.
Now you can get relief from pain without harmful medications and surgery. Call my guys at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics specializes in biologic therapies that can repair and restore damaged tissue. I'm talking about natural pain treatments now available, not just for pro athletes, but to people like you.
At QC Kinetics, we're seeing patients every day who suffer from chronic joint pain, but who desperately wanted to avoid surgery. We're treating joint pain with biologic therapies, regenerative solutions with long-lasting results.
Listen, it's all about getting your life back. Playing touch football with kids, walking upstairs pain-free, getting back on a job, and patients at QC Kinetics are raving about the results.
QC Kinetics. Call to learn more about restorative treatments that can get you back in the game.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
The IRS is ramping up collection, and if you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, listen carefully. Before it's too late, check your eligibility for the Fresh Start program still offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problems. Call our special hotline number now and find out in minutes if you qualify for these life-changing debt reduction programs. Business or personal, if you're in a payment plan with no end in sight, have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to know your options, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief and stop collections immediately. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with a 5-star rating from Yelp, this veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. Call their hotline number now, 800-724-9484. That's 800-724-9484. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-724-9484 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is excited to announce their new delicious spicy bourbon chicken sandwich is here. It's the best of both worlds. Their spicy bourbon dippers that you love brought into a sandwich you'll crave. It's made with their famous spicy chicken sandwich, smothered in their special bourbon barbecue sauce, dripping with flavor on a brioche bun. Enjoy it in a combo with your favorite side and a drink, priced just right at only $6.99 and only available at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Miami Valley locations. Lee's, famous for spicy bourbon chicken.
News Nation is news for all America, reporting all sides. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find News Nation on your television provider.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Again, the afternoon, of course, kind of on fire a little bit when you talk about the news that broke that the Big Ten should potentially be absorbing USC and UCLA coming up here in the next couple of seasons. 2024, the target year for all of that to take place. And that's a very interesting move. Again, you think about just where we're at around here with the first big shockwave of news, of course, that broke months ago when it came to, or I should say a year ago, when Texas, and it feels like months ago, but I guess that was a year ago. Texas and Oklahoma now going to be a part of the SEC here in the coming years. I believe 2024 is the last report I read as far as when Texas will be there. I don't know if they were a package deal as far as when Texas, Oklahoma officially enter the SEC, but there's that part of it. We'll see Cincinnati a part of the Big 12 next season. Not this upcoming season, but next season. So I wonder if we'd be able to sneak a Texas at Cincinnati matchup in before Texas heads for the SEC.
That should be nice.
That would be pretty interesting as far as that goes. But
Big 12 should make them play all road games.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'd stack it up against them, right? But Doug Toby, Kev, says that I guarantee you I'm going to stay up to watch those USC and UCLA cheerleaders, he says. So there you go. The last caller that called in talked about how he was angry. Look, Ed, and everyone has their opinion on this. I'm not a big fan of the realignment in college football. Do I like USC going to the Big Ten? I love USC. I love USC versus Ohio State. I love USC versus Michigan. USC versus Penn State. I love those matchups. Wisconsin and UCLA, like great matchups. But do I like realignment? No, I hate it. I hate Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, but I love Texas and Alabama. I love Oklahoma at Georgia at Texas. Look, it's going to provide a lot of great things. It's kind of like the expansion of the college football playoff. There's two sides to that. Expanding the college football playoff, does that provide you amazing matchups? Yes, and I will enjoy those matchups. It doesn't mean that I enjoy the concept of the expansion of the college football playoff because I like it the way it is. I do know, we'll get to this later, with the way the conferences are realigning, we're going to have to expand it. There's no way you could keep just 4 in with this anyways. But with all that being said, I like the matchups that are going to come of it. I still hate the realignment. I wanted the Pac-12. What I really was pushing for, what I really wanted to see in the college football playoff era, I wanted the Pac-12 to have an elite Oregon and an elite USC. What I wanted to have out of the Big 12 was an elite Texas and elite Oklahoma. And then the Big Ten, you have your Ohio State and your Penn State and once every 10 years, Michigan and, whatever. And then, of course, in the ACC, you would have Clemson and possibly Florida State. Maybe Miami will actually be back eventually. And then, the SEC with Georgia and Alabama. I wanted the committee's lives to be miserable. I wanted the committee to literally hate having to make these decisions so much that they would quit. And college football took it easy on them. Everyone out there that acts like the college football playoff committee, that they have a tough job. Kev, they don't have a tough job. Literally, it always shakes out. USC and Oregon always end up getting a loss or two. They make it easy on the committee to leave the Pac-12 out. Oklahoma always loses an extra game that they shouldn't. It's easy to keep them out more years than not. The ACC, well, it's Clemson and everybody else. It makes it easy to put Clemson in and nobody else out of there. The Big Ten, they make it easy too because it's Ohio State and that's it. And then the SEC, oh man, they're pushing 2 SEC teams in that because that's the only conference that actually has more than one team doing what they're supposed to. That's what I really wanted. We're not going to get that now. Now the Big Ten absorbs a USC team that has honestly, as a program, has underachieved for going on, 15 years now? And then you look at UCLA, they're just along for the ride because of the market that they play in. It's not like they're going to bring, it's not like they're going to make the Big Ten more competitive. Now, I still think they're going to be more of the in-between than what we get with Rutgers and some of the bottom tier teams. But do I like the shakeup? No, I do not. But I will really enjoy the matchups, Kev. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. You know, I'm a person that believes like there's a lot to be told about, you know, coastal rivalries and my conference being better than your conference, and we play a better brand of football down south. No, we play a better brand of football out west. We play a better brand of football in the Midwest. Then we meet up in these bowl games and things still matter. But just like the rest of the world, man, there aren't any more regions. You know, I work at Hot 1029, the hip hop station in town. Like, if you listen to music, it all kind of like sounds the same. Like, you know, growing up in the 90s and everything like that, you had your West Coast hip hop, and you know exactly what a West Coast song sounded like because of the G-Funk and everything like that. And then you knew what a East Coast song sounded like. Everybody had their own sound, but everything now sounds the same. So just like in the football world and music, everything's going to be blended the same. It's not going to be any, where we're from the South, we're from the Midwest, everything's going to be blended the same, just like we are in the world today, man. So unfortunately, that's the way it's going to have to be, because guess what? We're football fans. We're college football fans. We will adapt. We're not going to just like, well, that does it for me. They got rid of the Pac-12. You never watched the Pac-12. You watched the Big Ten. Now they're going to be playing in the Big Ten. You're going to watch. We're going to adapt to this new style of football and the new way of doing it, and we're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and you know, that's always been my argument about the bowl games. You can't get rid of these bowls. You can't get rid of the Cotton Bowl and you can't get rid of the Orange Bowl. Yeah, you can. I've never once said I am married to a bowl. I don't care. I don't care about the Rose Bowl. I know that the old heads out there, you guys are like, oh my God, don't disrespect the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl hasn't been relevant in years since the college football playoff started, the end of the BCS, as you talked about, Kev. The Rose Bowl means nothing. I don't care about the bowls. Every time I see people say, well, what's this going to mean for the Rose Bowl? Well, it doesn't mean anything for the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl is as useless. Yes, it was as useless yesterday as it is today with this news. It doesn't matter. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I agree with you. I don't think, those things don't matter. And at the end of the day, when these matchups are happening, that's all people are going to care about. What up, Andy, the Big Ten commissioner? He says he's on the beach and he approves of this move. I think it's, look, I get it. There's people that are upset about the concept of all these teams moving all over the place. But if you just shrink it down to what this means for us as Buckeye fans, we get Ohio State versus USC, and we don't have to wait for a Rose Bowl matchup for it to happen. It doesn't have to be a college football playoff matchup. It could be a week 7, week 6. Doesn't matter. David Shaw says, you don't care about those with money do care. No, he says you don't care, but those with money do care. The bigger bowls aren't going anywhere. I'm not saying the bowls are going anywhere, Shaw, but my point is you're a fool if you think that the Rose Bowl still means anything. It doesn't. It may have a dollar value to it. It's one of the more unique places to go watch a football game, but I'm sorry, Ohio State winning the Rose Bowl last year, it's not like those kids are going to say, man, that was the highlight of my career. What they're going to look at it as is, yeah, remember that year we fell short, lost to Michigan, didn't make the college football playoff, and had to play in the Rose Bowl? To where back in Keith Byers' day, it was the epitome of college football making it to the Rose Bowl, winning that Rose Bowl game. So, yeah, that's fine that there's a lot of money involved, but it doesn't mean that it's worth anything more today than what it was back then. It's not worth more today than what it was back then. Ann Anderson said it's football, Kev. We will watch whatever the powers that be give us.
Facts.
No matter what time.
Facts.
Exactly.
Facts.
So,
I'm tuned in.
There you go.
And I'm, maybe I'm speaking from a place of privilege because I'm a college football fanatic and I eat it up. I love college football. It doesn't necessarily have to be, the big dog teams for me to be invested in and watch a game and enjoy it and everything like that. So maybe I'm speaking from a place of privilege, but it is what it is. It is nothing that we can do about this because we already paid for it by watching it already. We pay for these games and we tell them what type of matchups we want by the ratings. So if you're not watching Pac-12 football, then guess what? They're going to eliminate Pac-12 football. If you're only watching Big Ten and big time schools, they're going to put them games on the back burner. And guess what? Ohio State, USC, it might be a noon kick. It might be a 3:30 kick. It might be a 6:30 kick. I mean, we just don't know. We tell them what we want by our viewing habits.
Yeah, you know what I just realized, though? I'm the one that has to come to the station real late at night. You know what?
I've been telling you that for 2 years.
I agree with Ed. I hate coming to the station at 2.
No, you agree with me.
There you go. Scott Campbell, he chimes in off of YouTube. What up, Scott? He says these changes will cause a lot of interest in the sport overall, as if college athletics couldn't get any more interesting. But yes, you're right. Especially happening in June. I'm so glad this news came out in June and not like in September when the seasons are. You know what I mean? We have enough. We have sensory overload in September, and October, and November, and everything once the seasons get here. But he goes, and NIL and the transfer portal will now get crazier than ever now. I think those are crazy all on their own. I don't think if it pushes it one way or another.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, this is just another wrinkle. I don't think this is a big deal for the transfer portal. I mean, it's just another situation that's been going on in college football for a long time. I mean, we talk about, Colorado leaving the Big 12 and Nebraska leaving the Big 12. Well, guess what? They eliminated the entire Big East Conference. We lost an entire conference. West Virginia joined the Big 12. Miami joined the ACC. Syracuse joined the ACC. Like, it's been going on. It's just for conferences that, us snooty Big Ten folks didn't care about.
Like the American.
American's still here.
For now.
It's still here. They're in better shape than the Pac-12.
Aye. And their prize-winning Bearcats are gone now.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
They're still here this year, though.
Aye.
Houston winning the American this year, by the way.
No, is Luke Fickell coaching Houston?
Absolutely no.
How could Luke Fickell let the Bearcats lose the American Conference? How could he win in the Big 12 if he can't even win the American this year? All right, we'll step away for a few moments. When we come back, of course, we know how big of news this is. Again, USC, UCLA join the Big Ten here in the near future. 2024, the target year, of course. But how has Ohio State fared against USC throughout the long history of those two teams meeting up, and what that means for when those two teams do match up and some of the more exciting storylines as far as that goes? Ohio State's history against USC and UCLA. We got that coming up for you on the other side. We'll be right back. Hour 2 next.
Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Milano's Pizza, Subs, and Taps' new summer menu is here. Fresh salads, house-made chicken salad subs, the Old Shack cheeseburger, and more. Bring it home or dine on the Milano's patio. See all your choices at milanosubs.com.
Where did I put that?
Pete's property manager just took an extended vacation.
To see the dreams.
He needs a replacement before this becomes a cruel summer.
Oh, you wanted the lakefront for the 17th? How did this get double booked already?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Make your 4th of July celebration even bigger this year with savings on everything you need to get your yard ready for summer. Make sure your flower beds and bushes can handle the heat with special savings on Vigoro mulch, now at a new lower price of $2.98 a bag. Keep the sun off your soil and water in the ground. Plus, add a fun pop of color that will last up to 12 months. So hurry in and get your yard ready for celebrating in the sun. Feels like 4th of July at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Available in-store and online. Color selection varies by store.
Stress. It never seems to end when you owe money to the IRS. What about the years of unfiled tax returns? Have you tried another tax service and gotten nowhere? Then you need Tax Alliance. Why? Years of being A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau with no consumer complaints sets them apart. Call 800-624-9275. That's 800-624-9275. Don't wait until the IRS attacks your wages, bank account, your home or pension, and even your Social Security check. Tax Alliance specializes in IRS tax relief programs, including the Fresh Start Initiative, which can finally free yourself from IRS debt. Their tax professionals can file returns, fight the IRS to substantially lower your IRS debt, or possibly even have it forgiven. If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes, have unfiled tax returns, or have a payment plan and are still frustrated, call 800-624-9275. That's 800-624-9275.
Tax Alliance, your tax resolution solution.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers with a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freights, new equipment. Call Cody. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
This is Doug Ute, Executive Director of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. High school coaches can be the biggest influence on kids having a positive experience in sports. Sports set the foundation for life lessons that remain long after playing days are over.
This is Gene Smith. Please join Life Sports at The Ohio State University and the Ohio High School Athletic Association as we partner with the Susan Crown Exchange on its Million Coaches Challenge. Get involved and learn more at go.osu.edu/CoachBeyond.
Looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Man, I bet the NFL wishes that they had a verdict on old Deshaun Watson at this point. I bet you right now is the perfect time to drop that you're probably only going to suspend him for 6, 7, 8 games.
Nah, NFL dropped that news. All this UCLA, USC talk to the Big Ten goes right down to the bottom ticker. That's going to be front page news everywhere.
What?
NFL dominates everything.
Possibly, but
I'm willing to bet.
At least it has more resistance with this news.
Oh, yeah, you'll have somebody else talking about Big Ten and everything like that. I'm willing to bet if it's a great matchup in the NFL on election night, more people are going to watch the NFL game than the election coverage.
So here's an interesting point. Doug Toby chimes in about everything going on again, USC, UCLA. For those of you just joining us, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Live on Facebook on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. Like, subscribe, follow along, watch us, be a part of the conversation, and ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. But Doug Toby, he says, Kev, that does this mean I don't have to watch the Ohio State-Toledo game anymore? Obviously, that's what's crazy is last year, Ohio State had to play Akron under the lights. They're going to be playing Toledo under the lights this year. But, that's the other thing, too. If I'm the MAC and I'm some of these conferences, even the Americans, I don't want to disrespect them too much. They're obviously above the MAC, but those programs could be in trouble as far as not that they're going to go anywhere, but I think the MAC, their existence, a lot of it depends on a lot of these big paydays to come and play these schools. As a fan, what I don't want to see anymore, if you're going to add USC and UCLA and you're going to add, let's say Notre Dame joins the Big Ten or they get Utah or they get whoever, I don't want to watch Ohio State. I don't need to watch these boring bye games anymore. And Keith Byers and I have talked about this many times. Back when he played, there was no warm-up games. It was week one right off the bat. It's even you might have bad teams on your schedule that are within your conference.
Right.
But there was, I believe he said there was just be one premier non-conference game and then the rest is conference.
Right. Yeah. At this point, what is 14 teams in the Big Ten now?
Mm-hmm.
So you can play
you
can play an entire conference schedule.
There really shouldn't be an excuse why Ohio State and USC don't play every year. In Wisconsin and USC and Michigan and USC, UCLA. I know it stinks for the smaller schools, but at the same time, why would we want to give up a season of Ohio State, USC? Oh, this is the year they don't play, or this is the sequence of years they don't play, just so we could watch Ohio State play Toledo and Bowling Green and them. And I know those are good for those smaller schools, but they'll have to figure it out on their own. That's kind of their problem now. But at the end of the day, this has always been about money, and money talks.
Right.
And money's doing the walking right now. But Doc, you're right. I don't know. We may not get those boring bye games anymore. And that means affiliate day will be a lot better too, by the way.
See, people are half glass empty. People, I'm half glass full. That means we won't get an opportunity to see Appalachian State beat Michigan. We won't get those opportunities like that.
So let me ask you this, though. This is good for the Big Ten. How do you think Ohio State, what's Gene Smith and Ohio State thinking over there? They happy, but not happy, right? It's the glass half. I don't even think it's a glass half empty, glass half full. I think it's just a glass with something in it, and they're just kind of being quiet. How do you think they're feeling?
I think they're feeling great. Because their conference one-upped the SEC.
But Ohio State didn't need the conference to one up anybody. Like if there's programs that are independent of the necessity of their conference, it's Ohio State, Alabama, programs like that. Like that's why I find this interesting. Like USC desperately needed a change of scenery because of how bad that conference is. That's a big day for them. They're happy.
Right.
But I wonder if Ryan Day sees I think his career is parallel with Lincoln Riley. I find this very interesting.
I'm not sure that Ohio State views themselves as it's Ohio State and the rest of you bums. I think Ohio State views themselves as a collective with the Big Ten. I know us as a fan base look at all the other teams of the Big Ten and toot our noses up at them and everything like that. But I've never got the inkling from Gene Smith or Coach Day or any other coach that has been the head coach at Ohio State as they look down on the other programs. It's always been a collective, and they always vote to do a revenue split, no matter how good Ohio State is at football, no matter how good Michigan is at basketball and going to the Final Four and everything like that. They always unanimously vote to have an equal revenue split for all the collective or their money and everything like that. I think they're feeling great because they are able to one up the SEC. And let's be clear, they ain't done. They're not done. It's a lot of rumors floating around about Oregon, about Washington coming to the Big Ten. So this thing isn't over.
See, I wish some of these conferences would kind of cut the fat. But again, some programs are there for TV market purposes only. I mean, I'd get rid of the bad teams. I'd get rid of Maryland, and I'd get rid of Rutgers and Michigan, and I'd get rid of those kind of programs. But nonetheless, I don't know. But Ohio State, Kev, they're used to being the big dog.
Mm-hmm.
They are the Big Ten.
Right.
And they've been a way more successful program. I think they have a way better program than USC. But right now, USC comes in as hot as they have been since the Pete Carroll era. And there's a lot of momentum. This is, if this move was made 2 years ago, I think that it sounds sexier than what it is. But right now it sounds sexy, and I think it looks pretty sexy. You got Lincoln Riley with Caleb Williams. Again, these guys probably won't be around by the time when they come in. Lincoln Riley will.
Right.
But if this Caleb Williams class or this group, if you will, if they hit the ground running and they put USC back on the map, now you're getting the equivalent of Ohio State coming into the Big Ten. And sometimes it's an ego-driven program, as they should be. I don't know. I just look, when you look at you look at the SEC, that outburst that you saw from Nick Saban about Texas A&M and Jimbo, that was because it was a turf war.
Right.
It became a turf war. Now there's a lot of turf between California and Ohio, but let's not, forget that, Ohio State's used to being the face of the Big Ten. And I don't think USC comes in and is the face of the Big Ten, not by a long shot. But all of a sudden, they come in with the momentum. They start beating Ohio State. They start getting to the college football playoff in front of Ohio State. Then all of a sudden, it becomes a problem. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I think that they're more worried about the USCs of the world than the Michigans and the Wisconsins of the world.
Yeah. I mean, from everything from coaching wise to where their recruiting base is, you got to think about a lot of the quarterbacks that, are playing for these teams that are playing for the college football championship. I mean, CJ Stroud's from California, Bryce Young is from California, that's where they pluck in their quarterbacks from the Sunshine State. So what Lincoln Riley's responsibility is going to be able to do is make sure, I got to get at least the two best quarterbacks to stay in California and come to USC and play for me, as opposed to making all these other programs great at the quarterback position. And that's going to be his responsibility. But yeah, I think it makes the Big Ten footprint bigger. It makes the recruiting base bigger. You get into a state like that. I mean, just because Ohio State's able to recruit in California, that doesn't mean that Michigan State is able to recruit in California. But if you're going to be playing out in USC and UCLA and California, probably at least once a year, that opens your recruiting base. So that means you can get more players. So I'm here for it all.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So let's take a look. And again, USC, UCLA, sounds like they'll be added to the Big Ten roughly. Again, this is not signed, sealed, and delivered by any means, but, it's out there. One side leaked it. And things, more times than not, things that are leaked are usually purposely leaked. This was leaked for a reason, right? So assuming that they join the Big Ten in 2024, that's exactly when we could expect to potentially see a regular season USC Ohio State matchup. What does this do for the scheduling purposes? Shaw chimes in, Kev, real quick on this, and he says, the Big Ten is only going to do an 8-game conference schedule, right? I don't think there's anything locked in right now. This is all this is unprecedented. I don't think, just because right now it's at an 8-game conference, it doesn't mean that in 2 years it will be when you have 14 teams and there's money to be made. Let's not forget that if this conference has an opportunity to put USC and Ohio State together on a regular basis, for one, the TV networks are going to eat that up. Mm-hmm. They're going to love that. The conference is going to love that. I don't think we can answer anything right now at this point, but I do think it would be silly to add UCLA and USC and then have it to where you could potentially go years without two programs playing one another, especially the likes of a USC and an Ohio State, as far as that's concerned. But
definitely got to go.
Get rid of East and West divisions, by the way, because that doesn't make any damn sense, does it?
Yeah, you can finally do that. Or what do they call it? Leaders and legends. They definitely need to go to at least a 10-game conference schedule. At least. And you can that way you can still do some non-conference matchups, some tune-up games and everything like that. But there's no reason to only play 8 conference games when you have 13 other opponents that you could play. That just makes no sense.
You have this Ohio State Notre Dame game coming up this season, 2023. You'll have the return game against Notre Dame. Could we see the last of that type of schedule? Could Ohio, we're talking about Ohio State, Texas. When we get to that season, you could potentially have Arch Manning as the quarterback of Texas, and obviously Texas being a top program. Would we even get to that point? Will we get to that point? Those games could be scrapped too, because again, we got Michigan, we got Wisconsin, we got Penn State.
That's why I think we'll still have those MAC games in there.
Because I think, crazy. Hey, there's no need to play Texas now.
Right.
Let's bump them, replace them with a Bowling Green or a Toledo or an Akron. Please keep that money in the state. And that I'm okay with. But I just don't want to go years without seeing a top matchup like that. I think that would be kind of silly. Shaw countered again, Kev. I thought Warren said he likes 8 games better than 9. Yeah, I'm sure he said that, but that's based on where we're at right now with the amount of teams in there. That all change everything. This totally changes the landscape of how everything's going to be done. You don't bring in USC to your conference to have Ohio State and USC go 2-3 years without playing one another. That's kind of how I view it too. But let's take a look at what has happened the last time USC, some of the previous times USC and Ohio State have played one another. When you look at the rivalry, if you will, Kev, but USC does lead the series with 14 wins. They're 14-8 against Ohio State in the long history between the two programs. Of course, the last time they played one another was at the Rose Bowl a few years ago. Yeah, they lost to Ohio State 24-7 back in 2017. That game was in Texas. So 24-17 they lost, but before that, Kev, they had a 7-game win streak against the Buckeyes that stemmed back and started all the way back in 1975 and ended and then continued to 2009 before Ohio State ended that losing streak with that 24-7 win against USC back in 2017. But again, these teams don't play often. 2017, and then they had that home and away series in 2009, 2008. Both of those games belonging to USC. But before that, Kev, it was an 18-year gap between when they played 2008 and then 1990. I was one when they faced each other all the way back then. So
I was at that game where they came 90? To the shoe. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Could have been, but that would have been 2009.
I could have been. That would have been very small. But no, when they were playing at the shoe, not Matt Leinart. Who was the other quarterback they had?
I forgot the quarterback after Leinart,
but anyway, Taylor Mays was on USC.
That would have been 2008.
Yeah, Pryor fumbled or something like that. Yeah, I was at that game. I lost my voice that night. Great night outside of the Buckeyes losing.
So again, USC leads the all-time series against Ohio State, 14 wins, 8 losses against the Buckeyes. Ohio State against UCLA. UCLA holds the advantage in that series as well. They have 4 wins and 3 losses against the Buckeyes, but this series has happened less frequently than the Ohio State USC series, Kev. The last time Ohio State and UCLA played, can you think back?
No. Was KB playing?
2001. 2001, the Rose Bowl. UCLA won 13-6.
2001?
September 22nd, 2001.
Really?
They played at that was at the again. It was in September, so it was obviously UCLA home game. But yeah, Ohio State played at UCLA. But what I don't get, there was no return game. There's no return game.
Different times, yo.
So the Ohio State just went to go play all the way in California. They played UCLA and then just didn't return. But yes, UCLA won that one. Then they won again in Columbus before that back in 1980. 17-0 shutout win over the Buckeyes. The last time Ohio State beat UCLA was back in 1979, a 17-13 win over the Bruins. They tied back in 1976 in Columbus, by the way. But yes, UCLA with a 4-3-1 is the series record with UCLA holding the advantage. So, man, Ohio State doesn't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance.
You know what? That was, if that's 0-1, that is John Cooper's last season.
Barkley, by the way.
Matt Barkley, yeah. So that means Steve
Thanks, Sladens.
Steve Belisari was our quarterback. As I used to call him, Steve Belisari. Yeah, man, he wasn't good. Oh my goodness, I just pulled up the box score.
Look at you, Skip Bayless, making nicknames out of people's names.
I mean, Belisari. That was his name.
Spice Bosch.
Steve Belisari, 5 for 23, 45 yards.
Come a long way from those days. We've come a long way from those days.
Oh my goodness, I remember. You probably don't remember Deshaun Foster. He ended up playing for the Carolina Panthers. A lot of throwbacks on here. Goodness. Mike Doss had a nice little interception in that game. Okay. 6 points from the Buckeyes. Yeah, don't count it this year, buddy.
Scott Campbell says the Buckeyes haven't played USC since when? The Reds play the Yankees more often than that. Again, the last time Ohio State and USC played was back in 17 in a bowl game on December 29th in Arlington, Texas. But the last time they played in the regular season was back in 2009 in Columbus. That game we're talking about, 18-5 was the was USC's win over Ohio State, and then they won at the Coliseum the year before that, 35-3. So USC has had their way with Ohio State, obviously throughout the duration of that series, but of course Ohio State got the last laugh just a few years ago, back in 2017, 5 years ago, back in 2017. So there's that. John Sladen says it was 5-23 game ugly. Sladen's also said Foster fumbled 5 times that game.
Goodness gracious.
Brutal. All right, good stuff. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We sit back and we wait for the news out of the NFL regarding Deshaun Watson. And, of course, the hearing that's going on there, we still wait for that to wrap up. And then, of course, the waiting game for the NFL to make its announcement on the punishment. There seems to be a shift in what many believe is going to be the punishment for Deshaun Watson. And a lot of it has to do with him sitting out all of last year. We're going to talk about that coming up around the corner. Big news out of the NBA today, of course, that Kevin Durant, we all waited. We waited for Kyrie Irving to announce what he was going to do. Was he going to opt out of his contract with the Nets and go pursue playing with LeBron James and the Lakers? Or was he going to come back and run it back with Kevin Durant? Well, he's running it back with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's running the opposite direction. Kevin Durant demanding a trade. The Nets looking to move him. And I could not be any more happy that this is happening to Mr. Kyrie Irving. But we'll get to all of that on the other side. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
Frickers heats up summer with boneless brew and barbecue, boneless frickin' chicken wings, Brew City fries, and barbecue rib tips for only $12.99 dine-in only. Frickers, where kids 10 and under eat free every day. Boneless brew and barbecue. Say it with me.
Boneless brew and barbecue.
Remember that Frickers always has barbecue baby back ribs. Frickers serves up whole and half slabs every day. Boneless brew and barbecue at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
Looking good, Mrs. Dubs.
The head groundskeeper at Thad's Golf Course just retired.
We need to find someone in the next 2 weeks. Someone with botany and management experience.
He needs a replacement because the greens are already looking a little rough.
Aeration. They need to know it all.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
If you work remote, Staples has you covered.
A mid-mod desk chair to rejuvenate my ho-hum workspace.
Staples has you covered.
A place to put my papers so I can be more productive.
A storage cabinet that I can roll out of the way on weekends.
Staples has you covered with remote workspace solutions. And now get 25% off storage and filing products, chair mats, decor, and lighting with the purchase of an office chair or desk. Explore solutions for your remote workspace at Staples, the working and learning store. N72, in-store only.
Visit Cincinnati and see for yourself why the Queen City is the birthplace of professional baseball. Catch a Reds game at Great American Ballpark and be sure to explore the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum presented by Dinsmore. Thanks to the HCS Foundation, kids 12 and younger receive free admission into the Hall of Fame, where the whole family can enjoy interactive exhibits and thousands of artifacts from over 150 years of Reds baseball. For details and tickets, visit Reds.com.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression. My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill, it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey, sweetie, what's going on?
Well, honey, I have some news.
Okay, what?
All that training paid off. I got the job.
Oh, I knew you would get it. So when do you start?
When you donate stuff to Goodwill, you help provide job training for people right here in your community. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Veterans, were you exposed to harmful burn pit smoke while serving overseas? The Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized and is providing benefits to veterans who suffer with asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis as a result of burn pit exposure. If you served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Don't drive much? Don't pay much with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps is celebrating the sunshine with a bunch of fresh new summer menu choices. Try our new garlic cheese dippers and see all the creative flavors in store for you right now at milanosubs.com.
On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Are you dreaming of something greater? A college degree, job skills, a rewarding career? The Ohio Army National Guard can help you get the education you need to land the career you've always wanted. The Ohio National Guard Scholarship Program could pay 100% of your college tuition. You're eligible for the scholarship as soon as you enlist. Learn more about the many benefits that come with serving in the Ohio Army National Guard. Visit NationalGuard.com today. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
News Nation is news for all America, reporting all sides. Go to newsnationnow.com/join us to find News Nation on your television provider.
The IRS is ramping up collection, and if you owe back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, listen carefully. Before it's too late, check your eligibility for the Fresh Start program still offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax problems. Call our special hotline number now and find out in minutes if you qualify for these life-changing debt reduction programs. Business or personal, if you're in a payment plan with no end in sight, have unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to know your options, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief and stop collections immediately. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau with a 5-star rating from Yelp, this veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. Call their hotline number now, 800-724-9484. That's 800-724-9484. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-724-9484 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Menards is your plumbing headquarters with 11% off everything. Get softer skin and cleaner clothes with Water Boss water softeners. A compact 40,000 grain Water Boss water softener uses less water and salt while eliminating hard water, saving you money. Reduce chlorine, bad taste, and odor from your water with Water Boss water softeners, all 11% off now at Menards. Good through July 4th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? Quality oil like Valvoline Full Synthetic can help you get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $36.99. Got an older vehicle? Try Valvoline Full Synthetic high mileage options. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Are you ready? At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us, no matter how big or small your business is. Earn back when you spend, get exclusive offers, and paint rewards. It all adds up to help level up your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards and Partnership Program today. Minimum purchase required. Earnings and paint rewards awarded as Lowe's e-gift cards. Exclusions, restrictions, and more terms apply. Valid through 12/31/22. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. U.S. only.
Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Big news for the Buckeyes. No, not USC joining the Big Ten, but, they were able to get another nice commitment today. The Buckeyes have landed commitment number 15 for their 2023 recruiting class is cornerback Calvin Simpson Hunt from Texas, who was committed to play at Texas Tech, has now flipped to the Buckeyes. Simpson Hunt made an official visit to Ohio State the weekend of June 17th through the 19th. Today he announced he is a Buckeye on his Twitter account. Of course, this article coming from Bill Kurlick from Bucknuts, just released a little bit ago. They showed me a lot of hospitality mentality, Simpson Hunt told Bucknuts after his Ohio State official visit. They showed me everything I needed to see. I went with my mom, my uncle, and my cousin. They liked it a lot too. And now Simpson Hunt is a Buckeye. And what I like is after so much attention was given to the offensive side with those 3 big commitments from the 3 wide receivers and the job that Brian Hartline and Ryan Day have done on the offensive side, now we're starting to see some big commitments on the defensive side. And that's a good thing, especially to be able to match the weapons on the defense to the offense, to be and they're going to need it. You got USC coming. Forget USC. That had nothing to do with why this is important. But if these conferences are reloading like what we know they're doing, I think it's very imperative that this does, because the defense does become a point of emphasis. And obviously I don't think there's ever been one side of the ball that has been given more point of emphasis than the other, especially when you look at the turnover that Ryan Day did with the coaching staff. Clearly they're not just settling for a high-powered offense and an average defense. They're saying, oh no, as good as we are offensively, we want the same type of explosiveness on the defensive side, and getting this big cornerback definitely going to help. A 4-star cornerback just committed to Texas or Ohio State, flipped from Texas Tech. That's a big one.
We only got him because of NIL. See how stupid that sounds? And
when people say that, I'm like, and? Okay.
Congratulations to him. Welcome to Buckeye Nation. We look forward to seeing you on the field, balling out, making plays.
So, again, a lot of interesting things kind of happening right now. Again, John Wilner, who covers the Pac-12, is the one that broke this news earlier this afternoon. And just following his social media, Kev, John Wilner, about 30 minutes ago, keep in mind, his big tweet was, source, USC and UCLA planning to leave for the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Well, about a half hour ago, same format, source, don't assume the Big Ten is done.
I don't make this up.
So if I would have seen a tweet like this yesterday that said, source, Ohio State looking to pluck 2 major programs to join the Big Ten, I would have given you my top 5 teams, Kev, of who I thought that they would add. Not one time. I would have expanded it to 15, 20 teams. Not once would USC or UCLA have made that list. So right now, geographical roadblocks, throw those out.
Right.
If Ohio State's not done, who's prime for the picking out there? I think Oregon. If I had to put money on one program, Oregon would make a lot of sense. But if Oregon, 2 things here. Oregon can say, well, now that USC and Lincoln Riley is out of the picture, this is our conference to own now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do they want to follow the money train? Because here's the other tweet that I just found the most interesting from John Wilner. Let me find. Oh, here it is right here. Both teams would be making $100 million off the bat just from the media deals themselves. I mean, what an unbelievable thing. I guess UCLA finds themselves in a lot of debt. Remember they got out of that. What hurt UCLA a few years ago? Was it the Jordan brand or the Nike brand? There was a big contract.
That was UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA.
Oh, yeah, they were Adidas. I think they left.
Adidas. So there was some major. They cut ties with UCLA. And that was like a huge moneymaker for them. And so that was a big time loss for them. And, that's not the only reason they were in debt, but that's a school that has financial issues. And they said all their financial issues would just be eradicated right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they got to do it. They got to do it. You know what? Automatically, I would believe that it would be like a team like Oregon, but they're already out on the West Coast. They're in the Midwest. They're on the East. What's left? The down South. So Clemson, Florida State, Miami, somebody like that. Those teams are on the table as well. I mean, you want to cover every region of the United States. You're already in the Midwest, you're in the East, the West. Let's go down South. See what's popping with any teams in the ACC.
What this is telling me, for one, this makes, out of all the teams that moved, money was the primary decision for Texas and Oklahoma. I thought it was silly of Texas and Oklahoma to move if you're talking a competitive standpoint, Kev, because Texas and Oklahoma risk just being a 3 to 4 loss program now going forward, but they're going to make bank.
Yeah.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash on 1410. They're going to make bank, and then like USC coming over, they're going to make bank, but they have a good chance of being a top contender in the Big Ten. It's not like USC risks coming over and being the 4th or 5th best team in this conference. It's 1A and 1B as far as the perception is concerned with Ohio State, USC. With Texas, Oklahoma, I didn't think that made sense. They put the dollar over common sense. The Big 12 was their conference to own. If they cared about winning and cared about making money by getting to the college football playoff, staying staying in the Big 12 made sense for them. Going to the SEC to chase dollars to be the 4th and 5th best programs in that conference makes zero sense to me. I think it's going to come back and haunt them at the end of the day, even though they do have a nice chunk of change. It's going to be bad. A lot of coaches will be fired, and they'll recycle through a lot of things because losing 3 to 4 times a year is not going to be acceptable to those programs. USC, this might just help them. It's going to help them in recruiting. It's going to help them in a lot of things because of the Ohio State matchup. I think USC is the only school, major program that just enhanced their surrounding. I don't think that just because you have good teams around you in the SEC like Texas and Oklahoma for them, I think that they did themselves a disservice. I think USC is the biggest winner of all the major programs to jump ship from their current or from their original conference. I think they're the biggest winner out of everybody.
Yeah, for sure, because you're joining the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 is an afterthought. And you're no longer an afterthought just because you're in the Big Ten. And speaking on the Oklahoma and Texas situation, they're in situations where teams are like, well, we can't sit around and wait for our conference commissioner to tell us what's what. We're a brand all onto ourselves. So we got to take care of ourselves. If it is, dabbling with the SEC and potentially losing 2 or 3 games a season, so be it. As the AD's responsibility isn't only to the football program or the baseball program or the basketball program. It's to all the athletics in the university and to fund them and keep the money coming in. So he can only put the coach in position to succeed by helping them with NIL, helping them with resources, making sure their locker rooms are great and all pretty and everything like that to attract the best recruits around. And you do that with money. So they go to where the money is. So if we're talking about football and they don't succeed, that's not on the AD. That's not the AD's responsibility. He's not out there coaching them up. Hey man, I gave you everything you wanted. We gave you great facilities. We boosted up your staff. We got you a ton of coaches and everything like that. We paying you hand over fist. That's not the AD's responsibility or the president of the university either. That's all on the coach. The coach got to make it happen.
Just got this text from a friend of mine. Tony says UCLA was Under Armour. It was the Under Armour deal.
Okay.
I remember that deal had fallen through. I just couldn't remember what the brand was. But Under Armour pulled their contract, which was crucial to them, of course. UCLA is now Nike. The Big Ten could end up the Nike conference. Northwestern is Under Armour. Wisconsin and Nebraska are Adidas. Nike will pay the conference a bunch of money. So
that means then Oregon's on the way.
I think, because that's the tie-in is Oregon. That's why I said of all the schools out there, if that reporter said that sources say the Big Ten is not done, I believe they're not done. I think Oregon makes the most sense, but I guess we're just used to seeing things come in twos.
Yeah.
Texas, Oklahoma to the SEC, USC, UCLA to the Big Ten. Oregon, I don't think comes alone. Is it Oregon and Mullet Man, Oregon State coming over to joining the Big Ten?
What? I used to think that they came in pairs of partners. Like, if I thought that it was going to be a situation, it was going to be Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Because, like, all right, man, we're going to take care of our brother and everything like that, much like we saw with UCLA and USC, like they're coming together. But now, just like the regions are out of the question, I think those partnerships between those two schools are out. Like, man, we doing what we got to do for us. Like, do you, because we're doing us. We'll still schedule you and play you and all that type of stuff. But, trying to take you along with us for the ride, those days are over. So, I think it is a Oregon play and somebody in the ACC. So a Clemson, a Florida State, a Miami play, something like that. I think something like that would be huge for the Big Ten. Because you get down south, that means you got every 4 corners of the United States covered with the Big Ten footprint. And then not only that, you're invading the SEC footprint when you go down south to get a Clemson, a Florida State, or a Miami. You're going to be in those households as well. So it's going to open it up for more teams from the Big Ten to go down there and recruit.
If you're the Big Ten, do you need more teams?
Need? No. Want? Probably.
Well, I mean, if you're all splitting a chunk of the pie, more programs means more programs to share money with.
Right.
There comes a certain point where we just keep assuming that all these programs have to be affiliated. I mean, if I'm a conference, I could say, I think we're good. The Big Ten, I never thought I'd say this, but they corner the entire country. They have every major market you could think of outside of Texas.
Right.
Outside of Texas and I guess Florida.
Right.
So I shouldn't say every major market, but you see what I mean there. But like, Florida, to me, still makes a lot of sense for a couple of these other conferences. I know you're pretty locked in. You don't think no teams.
I don't think any team is going to leave.
I can see them jumping to the Big Ten though with that money. Money's money.
Their contract going to be huge too.
Yeah, but again, if you can have your pie and eat it too. What I mean is now Florida, you have Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Texas, Oklahoma. Florida can go to the Big Ten. That's a win for the Big Ten because of the fact that you got Florida now, the market too. But Florida can get a ton of money going to the Big Ten and be a major player in the Big Ten. They have a better shot at being a major player in the Big Ten going up against Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Penn State, USC, and Ohio State, if I didn't say them already, than the gauntlet that is the SEC. I'm not saying the Big Ten's easy.
I don't know. They were just in the SEC championship, not this past season, but the season before that. They ain't like they like
Northwestern was in the Big Ten title game. That don't mean anything. Besides, with the way that,
but if they would have won that, they would have been in the college football playoff.
But they weren't going to win that.
I'm just saying
I know that, but that's like Northwestern.
So they ran.
Ohio State. It sounds good.
They beat Georgia, and they only lost. Matter of fact, they only lost to Bama by 10, I believe, in the SEC championship game. It ain't like they got railroaded.
It's Florida. They're not doing anything in the SEC. Their big banner is, man, remember that time we almost beat Alabama in the SEC title game?
I mean, I think you forget like these teams, they won games before. They won championships before.
What the hell does that have to do with that? USC won games in the Pac-12. They bolted to the Big Ten.
I mean, they won championships before. Like you look at them like they're an afterthought. Like they were just there like 2 seasons ago.
An afterthought. I'm saying that the path is so much more difficult. Not saying they're an afterthought at all. They'd be a major player in the Big Ten. They're just another player in the SEC right
I don't think they would be. I think they would be in the same boat that they are in the SEC.
How?
I just do. I don't think that they're much better.
Best program in the Big Ten, and they're like the 7th or 8th best program in the SEC.
Yeah, let me see. Bama, Georgia, probably Tennessee this year. I would say 4th best program in the SEC.
I ain't putting them above LSU. LSU is the only program I know that can just literally rebuild every decade and win a championship every decade.
I'll definitely go with them over LSU this year for sure.
But Forrest says that the Big Ten is overrated. Explain. What do you mean the Big Ten's overrated? I agree. For a while now, I have said that I think that the Big Ten gets propped up a little more than I think it. I mean, I don't think it's actually, maybe it's not overrated. I think the Big Ten's just kind of That's why this USC edition is big time, because your bigger brands underachieve. Michigan is just the face of underachieving. I know they're coming off of a playoff appearance, but Ohio State's the only one that's done their part. Michigan State for a while was a player, and then the D'Antonio thing happened, and then luckily Mel Tucker's here to clean it up. We'll see if they keep ascending the way that they are. Wisconsin, they always seem to be a top 10 team, and then they'll lose to Ohio State or they'll lose to Penn State. Penn State will beat Wisconsin. You think, Penn State's here to compete, and then they'll get their doors blown off by Ohio State. And then it's so strange. Every time you think that the Big Ten has major players, they just never seem to be able to get it done, whether it's Harbaugh, whether it's James Franklin. Mel Tucker, I'm not willing to throw under the bus yet because I think he's done way more good at Michigan State than bad since taking over. That was supposed to be a 4 or 5 year project, and he's kind of turned it around. Technically, even after that first year, they were competitive. So I give him a lot of credit. But overall, I agree with you. I think that the Big Ten, I think, is just rated. I don't think that they're overrated or underrated. I think they're just kind of a competitive conference. They're better than the Pac-12 now, especially better than the Big 12, better than the ACC. But I still think the gap between the SEC and Big Ten is pretty wide. USC, adding them definitely helps. What do you think on a scale of 1 to 10? What's the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten? We could add USC now officially in the mix.
I don't think the gap is wide at all, to be perfectly honest. I think
buyers will love you and hate me right now.
I don't think it's that wide. I truly don't. What are we doing? 10 being the widest gap?
Mm-hmm.
I would go like a 3.
Ooh, I think it's like a 6 or a 7. USC helps, but USC, let's be clear. We're getting excited about another underachieving program coming to the Big Ten. USC, for being the face of California, that program they haven't even been able to compete in a weak Pac-12. So although I'm getting all excited, I'm more excited about the addition of Lincoln Riley and like what this recruiting class that he's done, at least in the transfer portal, what they've been able to accomplish. Forrest says 8. He thinks it's an 8. All right, we're live on Facebook, 518-1410. Phone lines are open. Facebook, go to the Facebook page, the Justin Kinner Show page right there. And in the comment section, the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten is what? I said about 6 or 7. Kev says a 3. Forrest on Facebook, he messaged and he believes it's about an 8. I think the SEC is significantly ahead of every conference out there. USC helps the Big Ten, but keep in mind, we're getting excited about a team that is the face of underachieving. Like they're the Michigan of the Pac-12. Now Ohio State has 2 Michigans in the Big Ten. But every conference. I mean, Texas was the Michigan of the Big 12. USC is the Michigan of the Pac-12. Michigan's Michigan. It's just that program that constantly underachieves, and you constantly are trying to build them up and hoping that they live up to the hype, and they never do. But the gap between the Big Ten and the SEC is what? Head to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show, leave your comment in the chat section, and we'll get your responses, or give us a call, 518-1410. We'll talk in a minute.
Do you have foot pain? Foot pain is not normal regardless of your age or job. Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet and can provide important foot care solutions or shoe inserts to better manage foot pain. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. We've been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is excited to announce their new delicious spicy bourbon chicken sandwich is here. It's the best of both worlds. Their spicy bourbon dippers that you love brought into a sandwich you'll crave. It's made with their famous spicy chicken sandwich, smothered in their special bourbon barbecue sauce, dripping with flavor on a brioche bun. Enjoy it in a combo with your favorite side and a drink, priced just right at only $6.99, and only available at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Miami Valley locations. Lee's, famous for spicy bourbon chicken.
Looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
The City of Moraine Star Spangled Boom is on Monday, July 4th. The fun begins at 6 p.m. with amusement rides, games, and food trucks. There will be live music by everyone's favorite 80s band, Stranger. They hit the stage at 7 p.m. and the low-profile fireworks show will start at 10. The best spot to view them is Wax Park, 3800 Main Street in Moraine. And be sure to get there early to check out live music from Stranger. I ain't missing you at all.
Dell's Black Friday and July sale is here. Now's your chance for a refresh with savings up to $500 off select computers, like the XPS and select Alienware systems, taking performance to the next level with Intel Core processors. Plus, shop special deals on top accessories. Great financing available with a Dell Preferred account and free shipping. Upgrade today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
Warm fleece on a cool
I want to
day.
be a football
I want to be a
bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Big day in the world of sports, all things considered, seeing as it's the last day of June. Can you believe, Kev, that tomorrow when we show up for work, right? Like tomorrow's July, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, look at that. Friday, July 1st.
Man, crazy. I encourage everybody to get out there, not just because it's the 4th of July weekend and everything like that, but get out there and enjoy this good weather while we have it, because if my calculations are correct, we got about 10 weeks of guaranteed good weather. We got all of July, all of August, and then the first 2 weeks of September are good. But after that, the bottom could fall out. It could get snowy, it could get cold, it could rain, it could be blah. So get out there, enjoy the good weather, have some fun with family and friends this 4th of July weekend and the rest of the summer.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So before we took a pause in the action, we were talking about the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten. Like, despite the fact, like, I think this is a huge move for the Big Ten. It's a big financial move for the Big Ten, especially because you were able to get the two top teams from California, of course. I think that's big time. And it's huge for them. They're going to make about $100 million coming in just right off the bat, just off the TV deals themselves. That is big time for those programs. And, it's a win-win financially. But what does it do as far as add depth talent-wise to the Big Ten? I know this sounds like a very weird take on my part, but I think that the USC edition, it sounds sexier than what it really is. When you look at the Pac-12 has been one of the worst conferences in college football for especially since the era of the college football playoff started. During the college football playoff era, if you rank the 5 Power 5 conferences, it's been the SEC, the Big Ten. You could even argue the SEC, the ACC, just because of the fact that you've had more national champions come from the ACC than the Big Ten, at least 2 championships, not more champions. But let's be real. It's been as far as ranking the Power 5 conferences during the college football playoff era, it's been the SEC, the Big Ten, the SEC, or the ACC, the Big 12 because of Oklahoma and Baylor, basically. And then, of course, the Pac-12. The Pac-12 has just been awful. And USC is supposed to be this big, badass powerhouse, and they haven't even been able to dominate a horrible conference. So taking a team that has just massively underachieved for going on a decade and a half now, coming over, we're getting an LA team, we're getting USC. It sounds great, but if they were really struggling to win week in and week out, not win week in and week out, but win consistently, to be in the playoff picture year in and year out, they weren't players when you get into November. When we head into November, we turn the calendar to the month of November. When's the last time we were talking about USC in the playoff fold? I guess there was that year, the COVID shortened season, when they only lost 1 game, or maybe they were undefeated, Kev. I can't remember, but they only played like 6 games, remember?
Right.
So the Pac-12 was basically eliminated. But the USC has not been a very formidable program for quite some time. The only reason this seems sexier than what it is right now is because of Lincoln Riley. It's because of the fact that they've just kind of taken college football by storm as far as the way the transfer portal, everyone just swarming to USC. I think that there's positive vibes now coming out of that program for the first time in a while. But recent history tells you this isn't a great competitive addition to the conference, more so than it is just a great exposure for the conference, in the LA market. So that's kind of how I view it. But Kev, your thoughts on that? Like I said, Lincoln Riley makes this interesting. These players in the transfer portal swarming to USC. It seems like they're on the right track. It's good timing as far as this is concerned, but it's not like we're getting it's not like we got the Alabama of the Pac-12. We have not.
Oh, it's not like we got the Pete Carroll USC team or nothing like that. That's no mistaken. But you can also say the exact same thing you said about USC. You can say the exact same thing about Texas and what they've done during this phase of college football. I think the SEC plays good football. I just don't think it's as far out there as a lot of other people think it is. With their addition of Oklahoma, I think Oklahoma is a very good football program. We're going to see what they do without Lincoln Riley and without a Stoops brother at the helm of their football program going into the SEC in the next couple years and everything like that. But when you look at how the Big Ten is formed now and look at their footprint and look at all the things that is going to be in the future or what the potential could be, I think it is better for the Big Ten than Oklahoma and Texas is for the SEC, because the SEC footprint is already in Texas, was already there. Like, these are new markets for the Big Ten. that's where I'm at with it.
Yep, no doubt. Look, guys, this isn't a bad thing for the Big Ten. A lot of business boxes have been checked off as why this is a good move. I just, from a competitive standpoint.
That's a very good point.
From a
business and football, actual football are two totally different things.
And I think this was more of a business win than a football win. Now, but when you add a Lincoln Riley to your conference, though, and you add the aura of USC, that's a great thing.
Yeah,
that's a great thing. And you're also getting a very good coach in Chip Kelly. Let's not get that, let's not mistake that either. The coaching in the Big Ten now
made my honorable mentions.
It now rivals the SEC as far as coaching is concerned, and you have a good coaching, you always have a shot. So, like I said, it's not a bad thing for the Big Ten. I just don't think it's as big a deal football-wise is what we think it is, unless all of a sudden Lincoln Riley really does have USC back. And I think that's really is what it's going to come down to. But, it's funny because Texas has a lot of positive momentum heading into the SEC with Arch Manning and Sarkisian and the job that they're doing recruiting-wise. It seems like it's the healthiest that they've been in a while. They have Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning and Sarkisian. Sarkisian's killed it as far as that's concerned since taking over. But they also lost quite a few games last year with Sarkisian. So it's not as if it's been an instant, flipping of the switch. And it's kind of the same thing with USC. But the gap between the Big Ten and the SEC is that's kind of what we kind of got into a little bit ago. Forrest said if the scale is 1 through 10, the gap is still an 8 as far as the talent gap or the gap between the SEC and the Big Ten. We know the SEC is the best conference in college football. We know that the Big Ten is the second best conference in college football, but I still think it's the SEC and a lot of everybody else. Here's how I look at it, Kev. You take Alabama out of the SEC, they're still the best conference in college football, no questions asked. It's not even up for debate still. You take Ohio State out of the Big Ten, it still becomes a little bit debatable now. Well, maybe not so now, I guess, as things have evened out, especially plucking, USC out of there and Texas, Oklahoma being out of the Big 12. But you take Ohio State out of the Big 10, not a whole lot of difference between them and that Texas, Oklahoma Big 12 run right there. I think, that's what I mean by how much healthier, I guess, the SEC is. John Coy on Facebook says, if the top 10 teams from the SEC and the Big 10 played, SEC wins 7. So I will say 7 is the gap.
Who are the best 7 teams out of the SEC? I will have to think about that.
So we can start at the top. I mean, Alabama, Georgia. We know 1 and 2, and Texas A&M. There's things you got to let breathe a little bit. Right now, the vibe is that it's Texas, Alabama, Georgia. Texas A&M. The vibe is that they're about to slide into that spot. They got Jimbo, national championship winning head coach, great recruiting. It seems like that's the case, but you also have, Auburn, you never can count out. They make it easy. They're kind of like a Big Ten team where they have expectations every year. They're kind of the Penn State of the SEC as far as that's concerned. But continuing to go down the list, John Sladen says USC has been in the upper half of the conference in hoops too. Since Andy Einfeld got there. But he said USC has sucked since Pete Carroll left. This is coming from Gordon Gross as far as that's concerned. Ron Howard chimes in. He says Notre Dame will have to go somewhere, can't stay independent. I don't know about that. Until the College Football Playoff Committee says, hey, you get in the conference, there's no need for them to get in the conference as much as I want it to happen. So Josh Maloney, Kev, he goes, what will this do to the divisions? I think that no matter what whatever the scenario is now, it means nothing because it's all about to be revamped once USC and UCLA officially arrive. And as you heard earlier, the Big Ten's not done.
Nah, yeah, this is the end of divisions, man. It's the end of divisions, and you need to play 10 conference games, man. If I had anything to say about it, go ahead. In divisions, have some couple all-time opponents on there and everything like that, and do a rotating schedule, play 10 conference games and play ball. And then then the committee definitely have their work cut out for them, because in a situation like that, you won't have an undefeated team where it's easy. It's going to be some make them earn their money type of situations going on, because there's going to be teams with multiple losses playing for the conference championship, because you will have to play in Ohio State, USC, at Michigan State. You're going to make it real hard. This is going to be very NFL-esque type of situations and type of losses on there. I think the days of teams going undefeated will be long gone if they start just nixing sides of the conference, like East and West and all that type of stuff. I'm with that. Like, just go ahead and get rid of it. I mean, it's already mini NFL. It's becoming mini NFL every year. So just might as well just nix it now.
This question comes in from Greg Kev. I read another rumor that Oregon and Washington could be coming to the Big Ten. What do you guys think of that? Plus USC and UCLA. I think you get 4 new teams to the Big Ten, and they include USC and Oregon. That's a win. I mean, on tomorrow's show, when we have more time, because I want to go home and actually kind of sift through this and kind of organize it a little cleaner, Kev.
Yeah.
But ranking the SEC teams with the additions of USC, or with the additions of Texas and Oklahoma, and then ranking the Big Ten as far as like just, a general ranking system is kind of who the premier programs are in those conferences, just to kind of see how it shakes up. But let's assume Oregon's added. Now you have Ohio State, Michigan, USC, Oregon, Penn State, Wisconsin. Like now the Big Ten's healthy. Now that's a good, healthy lineup. Now we can re-question the gap. But, with that, the gap between the Big Ten, same thing, and the SEC, I think tightens up. I mean, you already think it's tight. That's fine. Like, I'm just like, I think that definitely would close the gap as far as that's concerned. Gordon says he would rather have Stanford than Washington. I don't get all warm inside for Washington. Not a bad program, but it's still healthier than what Ohio State has in the mid-tier. I mean, they're kind of like that Iowa type program. They're just solid. I think Washington's been more consistent than Iowa, though.
I think Washington on the football field and the hoops court. But I mean, we looking at like all the other sports, Stanford's number one. Like they got sports that everybody ain't got. They got rowing. They got all that type of stuff out there on the West Coast type of stuff. But I mean, you know how the Big Ten is, how we operate. Like we try to stick our noses up in the air and say, oh man, we're not just basketball and football factories. We are a higher education as well. We have our Northwesterns, we have Michigan, we have Ohio State and everything like that. So adding another prestigious school like Stanford, that wouldn't suck. Silicon Valley.
You don't have to pretend to care about academics. I mean, the NCAA doesn't.
The Big Ten cares about academics.
Look what that got them. It almost got Kevin Warren kicked out of all of athletics, trying to be the smartest one in the room. He's trying to sit at home and be safe while the SEC just raking in dollars at the gate and everything during a global pandemic. And
yeah, I mean, shoot,
y'all go read a book. You, Marcus Freeman, go over there read a book. We're all go play some foosball around here.
That's why when it was so difficult for Missouri to get into the SEC, because the Big Ten was looking at Missouri too because of their academics and everything like that. So, but Oregon for sure, and I would prefer somebody from down south in the ACC.
It's like talent over brains any day. So there you go. Look, you want smarts? Watch the Quiz Bowl. I want to watch football. I want Stanford because of football reasons, not because they got a bunch of smart fellers over there. Don't really care about that. For me, that's just, whatever. I mean, I grew up dumb and I'm still dumb. So the academics thing, not really attracted me to that as far as that's concerned.
You ain't come here to play school?
I think truer words have never been misspoken. Gordon says, kick out Rutgers and Maryland. That I agree with. See ya. Good riddance. I mean, my gosh, what have they done? Like, never mind. It is what it is. It is what it is. There's no reason to add Bowling Green and Miami of Ohio and Toledo to your schedule when you already have the Big Ten's version of Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, and Toledo. So there's that. Eric Lenski says, would like to see Notre Dame as well. I say leave Notre Dame out. I say y'all wanted to be independent. Y'all wanted to be, oh, look at us. We don't need you. Well, when it comes time to needing a conference, I hope every single one of them leaves them out. I hope so. But, the ACC bailed them out during COVID. They'll probably bail them out again. Watch the ACC go hard after them. If I'm the ACC,
they should.
You got to counter. And that if the ACC pops up in headlines due to restructuring of conferences, it better be them adding and not them losing. You lose Clemson or someone like that, you're in big trouble. So we'll see. But don't worry, Miami, they're back. They'll carry you.
The U.
The U. We'll be back. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kevin Nash.
Frickers heats up summer with boneless Bruin barbecue, boneless frickin' chicken wings, Brew City fries, and barbecue rib tips for only $12.99 dine-in only. Frickers, where kids 10 and under eat free every day. Boneless Bruin barbecue. Say it with me.
Boneless Bruin barbecue.
Remember that Frickers always has barbecue baby back ribs. Frickers serves up whole and half slabs every day. Boneless Bruin barbecue at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Frickers.
The Specialized Recruiting Group takes an individual approach to placing people in jobs, and they're ready to help you find your next opportunity. Visit srgexpress.com for your next role.
Of all the multitudinous manifestations that water can take, in oceans and ice cubes, in glaciers